Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahawashi, Bahasham, Barakakodash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh Bahasham Yahawashi. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. In peace and salutations to Ya'akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the Brother Ra'aya with another video, and I'll be reading from an article on antiwar.com titled, U.S. Welcomes Russia's Offer to Extend New START for 1 year. State Department says the U.S. is ready to finalize a deal. On Tuesday, Moscow said it is ready to offer the U.S. a mutual 1-year freeze on both sides' nuclear arsenals to extend the New START treaty for the same period. The freeze on warheads is a key U.S. demand to extend the treaty, which will expire in February 2021 if an agreement is not reached. Russia offers to prolong New START for 1 year, and it is ready to take on the political obligation, along with the USA, to freeze the amount of its nuclear warheads for the period. This position can be implemented strictly on the understanding that the freezing of the warheads will not be accompanied by any additional demands from the side of the U.S., the Russian Foreign Ministry said in a statement. The U.S. State Department spokeswoman Morgan Ortagus welcomed the statement and said the U.S. is ready to finalize a deal with Moscow. We appreciate the Russian Federation's willingness to make progress on the issue of nuclear arms control, Ortagus said in a statement. The United States is prepared to meet immediately to finalize a verifiable agreement. We expect Russia to empower its diplomats to do the same. A senior Trump administration official told the Wall Street Journal that the U.S. and Russia are close to making a deal. We are very, very close to a deal, the official said. Now that the Russians have agreed to a warhead freeze, I do not see why we cannot work out the remaining issues in the coming days. The New START limits the number of warheads each side can have deployed at 1,550, but the mutual freeze would cap all warheads in each country's arsenal, including those in storage, making verification difficult. And it makes you wonder how many nuclear missiles both sides do have in storage. The journal quoted Kingston Rife of the Arms Control Association on the difficulties of verification. A freeze on all warheads has never been done before, Reif said. Defining and verifying such a freeze is far from a simple matter. According to the journal, under the administration's plan, each side would declare the number of warheads they had deployed on launchers of all ranges and in storage and pledge not to exceed that number. The Trump administration said the U.S. isn't demanding that a verification system be in place before the New START expires in February, but the U.S. wants to begin technical discussions before that time on how to implement verification. Talks between the U.S. and Russia to extend the New START have been ongoing for months. Moscow has offered to extend the treaty for 5 years with no preconditions, as the agreement allows. But the Trump administration has made additional demands, although it seems the U.S. has dropped the more unreasonable ones for now. The purpose of a temporary extension is to buy time to negotiate a future treaty that would replace the New START. The Trump administration says a future pact should include China, but Beijing has no interest in trilateral arms control since its nuclear arsenal is much smaller than the U.S. and Russia's. And that's it with this article. But to anybody out there that is holding their breath for these nuclear treaties to hold and for there not to be a nuclear conflict, don't get your hopes up because the scriptures say contrary. This is Isaiah 34, verse 16. Seek ye out of the book of Yahweh, the Bible, and read. No one of these shall fail, none shall want her mate. For my mouth it hath commanded, and his spirit it hath gathered them. And one of the things that was prophesied in the scriptures was that there would be a nuclear war. And as it just said, No one of these shall fail. So no nuclear treaties, peace talks, weapons bans, or anything like that will prevent this nuclear conflict from taking place. And the two main players in it is going to be the United States of America and Russia. This is Revelation chapter 9, verse 12. One woe or destruction is past, speaking of World War I. And behold, there come two woes more hereafter, World War II, which is past, and this upcoming World War III, which is coming quickly. This is 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 10. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. And what could cause the elements and the works in the earth to get burned up and melt with that fervent heat? It's not talking about volcanoes. It's talking about nuclear tipped ICBMs, which are going to get shot to the ends of the earth after the mark of the beast, which is the microchip implant, is mandatorily implemented. And the United States alone is going to get hit with 200 million nuclear missiles. And the nation that's going to lead other nations in shooting their missiles onto the United States of America is going to be Russia. This is Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 9. For lo, I will raise the cause to come up against Babylon, the United States of America, because in the scriptures, the United States is known as Babylon the Great, as well as spiritual Sodom and Egypt, as pursuant to Revelation 11, verse 8, an assembly of great nations from the north country, and that north country is referring to Russia, which is also known as Gog and Magog in Ezekiel chapter 38, and the spiritual Medes in Isaiah chapter 13. And the reason Russia is known as the North Country is because what's north of the United States? Canada, the Arctic Ocean, and then on the other side, Russia. And Russia shooting its nuclear missiles across the Arctic to hit the U.S. would be the shortest trajectory time for its missiles to reach the U.S. And I've done videos in the past on it, but both the United States and Russia are building up their military assets in that Arctic region. And that assembly of great nations are not only the allies of Russia, such as China, North Korea, and Iran, but also the allies of the United States of America, such as Germany, France, Britain, South Korea, these other NATO nations, etc., who are going to turn against the United States of America in that day and ally themselves with this North country, Russia. Just go to Revelation chapter 17, verse 6, where it says, And the 10 horns which thou saw upon the beast shall hate the whore, and shall burn her flesh, and eat her with fire. Again, America's allies turning against her and allying themselves with Russia to burn that whore with that nuclear fire. And they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken, and their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. And those arrows are symbolic for the nuclear missiles, because what you have to remember is that when the prophets saw these visions thousands of years ago, they didn't know what a modern day nuclear tipped ICBM was. So they had to describe it the best way they could with what they knew during their times as ancient weapons of war, like bows and arrows, spears, javelins, flying swords, etc., etc. And like I said earlier, the United States of America alone is going to get hit with 200 million nuclear missiles, which is going to turn it into the biblical lake of fire from sea to shining sea, and then a desolate, uninhabitable wasteland afterwards. Now I'm going to close it out in Isaiah chapter 13, verse 17 to 20. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, the spiritual Medes, the north country, the Russians, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. When the time comes and the Most High puts his spirit on these different nations to shoot their missiles, no weapons bans, peace talks, or weapons treaties are going to do anything to avert those nations from pushing that red button. Back in Isaiah 34, verse 16, Seek ye out of the book of Yahweh and read, no one of these shall fail, none shall want her mate. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up by that nuclear fire. Their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces. And what do bows shoot? Arrows. So that's symbolic for the silos and other launch platforms that those nuclear missiles are going to be launched from. And they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children. When these nuclear missiles are shot onto the United States of America, anyone who is not an elect of the nation of Israel, who are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as well as the Israelite foreigners who look like these heathen nations that are going to get beamed up onto the chariots of the Most High, which people ignorantly refer to as so-called UFOs. When those nuclear missiles hit this place, you're not going to make it. You're going to be completely burned up. And Babylon, again, the United States of America, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. And again, besides being known as Babylon the Great, the United States of America is also known as spiritual Sodom and Egypt, as pursuant to Revelation 11, verse 8. And how did the Most High overthrow ancient Sodom and Gomorrah? With fire and brimstone from the sky. And he's going to overthrow this modern day Sodom and Gomorrah with modern fire and brimstone from the sky, those nuclear tipped ICBMs. It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. Hey, when these nuclear missiles hit the U.S., after being made into the biblical lake of fire from sea to shining sea, then it's going to be that desolate, uninhabitable wasteland that's going to stand as a memorial as to what a wicked kingdom looks like and how not to govern the earth. And on a quick side note, we know that this Babylon in Isaiah chapter 13 isn't talking about ancient Babylon because it's still inhabited to this day. All we got to do is go to Google Images and put in modern day ancient Babylon, which is Iraq, and find plenty of pictures of people still there. Here's a guy right here. You got a helicopter right there. More people here. Even more people there, etc., etc. So that's a future prophecy in Isaiah chapter 13. The spiritual daughter of Babylon, which is the United States of America, Babylon the Great, getting burned up by nuclear missiles. So that's it with this video. And with this video, I hope you sincere Akim are edified. Just keep strong and keep pushing this word. We're almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathens, chiefly Esau, Edom. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.